Welcome to another episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast. Hello, everybody. Make sure you go to the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. So you can follow us on all the cool podcast apps to listen to our show, like all the cool kids do, because we want you to be cool. Yes. And also follow my new YouTube show with my son at White's Toy Show. On YouTube. Make sure you follow that, because I'm thinking of doing a contest in the next couple of weeks where I might even throw this out there now. If you can screenshot to me that you subscribed to the podcast and to the YouTube show and send it to me, you can send it to the Rebel Radio Podcast at yahoo.com. You can send it to our Twitter at Rebel Radio Pod and prove it. And you want some stickers and a button, I'll send you some Rebel Radio stickers and a button to show me that you subscribe to both. That's a good deal. So remember, you just show me a screenshot that you subscribe to the podcast on any app and our YouTube channel, or even if you subscribe to just the YouTube channel at Wise Toy Show and send it to me, and with your address and a DM on Rebel Radio Pod on X or Twitter, or the Rebel Radio Podcast at yahoo.com, and I'll shoot you some buttons and stickers from the Rebel Radio. So cool little deal there for anybody who's listening. I know people listen to the show. We've got episodes that get 40, 50 listens. We usually within a couple of days, we have 12 to 15 of you guys are loyal every week, and y'all download us that morning and listen to us. So do that, man. We're at almost 70. We're at 72 subscribers on the YouTube channel. And if we could hit 100 by the end of, or by mid-September, that'd be awesome. It'd be a good first month and a half of the YouTube show. Yeah. So cool stuff there, man. But otherwise, it's been a week. Kids started school back, and that's why today is our back to school special episode of the show. Last year we did a trilogy of back to school episodes. This year we toned it down to just 1 week, but that's okay, man. We did not have podcasts back when we were in school, Matt. It was not a thing.
Radio shows.
I was thinking about this, and I'm gonna, I love to do this to you now and then, and throw you on the random fly of thinking of things. But if we were in school, and for me it would have been the early '90s, and for you the late '90s, early 2000s. What kind of podcast do you think you would have listened to? I'll let you think about that for a second. While I think I probably would have listened to some sort of grunge show talking about the new releases from Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the other bands of that era. I can imagine I would have been pretty hardcore into stuff like that, some sort of grunge, because I was heavy into rock and roll and grunge music and still love that stuff, of course. And I could see myself listening to a couple of dweebs like us that are in their mid 30s or 40s and yeah, man, I heard the new Pearl Jam album, and this is what I think about it. And I can see myself listening to that back in the 90s. And I imagine I might have listened to a Star Wars show or two back then, maybe about collecting. I'm real into wrestling again now, but I think back then I might have even listened to a wrestling podcast or two. And I think about that. What podcast might have been like in the 90s or even the 80s. And Matt, I would venture to guess. I mean, you could probably do this even now. And that would be an Arnold Schwarzenegger podcast, knowing you, because he was red hot, one of the top of the world in the early 90s.
It would definitely be that. That would be on there. Anime, like a Dragon Ball Z, Trigun, Gundam Wing, Bleach, Cowboy Bebop, all of that would be on the menu as far as like a podcast. And then gaming, you'd have to have like a Resident Evil podcast, because we'd be fresh off of Resident Evil 3, and then Resident Evil 4. No, Resident Evil 4 about that time with Leon. So definitely like a Capcom survival horror game podcast, maybe Silent Hill even. I know I was playing that then. But yeah, gaming, anime, probably Arnold. That'd definitely be what I'd watch. Man, we were coming up on Spider-Man, so it's like, maybe at that point a Marvel podcast too. Yeah. So yeah.
And I could see myself with comic books, man. It's interesting to think like what you know, I don't remember when podcasts started. I know Kevin Smith's been doing them since the mid 2000s, and so they've been around a while.
Yeah.
I just wonder what it would have been like in that era. Would we have had the internet in some form to upload these things, and the news cycle, the continuous 24-hour news cycle we have now?
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine YouTube and the reactions we would have had to major events when we were in school, like the death of Kurt Cobain or the death of Michael Jackson? Twitter was already around when Michael Jackson died, but his death almost put Twitter in the stratosphere. I remember that when Michael Jackson's death at Twitter, all of a sudden people started using Twitter. That was a really big thing. It makes you wonder what things would have been like when we were in school. And it's interesting to think about, man. And we might do some things throughout this 45 minutes to an hour as we talk about things when we were in school. We certainly will when we get to the movie today. The Crow remake hit theaters this weekend, and I know we've kind of beat.
I don't know if it really hit though.
we kind of beat this horse to death a bit, but I want to talk about it a little bit because I feel that it's an important, not the film itself, not the remake. It's an important topic to discuss because the original Crow film with Brandon Lee, the original graphic novel, hold a lot of weight and special memories in people's hearts and minds and their visions of the film they saw. And The Crow got 3 or 4 unnecessary sequels made in the late 90s, early 2000s that were all not very good compared to the original. And so Hollywood had been trying to remake The Crow going back 10, 12, 13 years ago, with various people involved, from Jason Momoa to Luke Evans to James O'Barr himself being involved to help write the story, and that's the creator of The Crow. And nothing ever took off. It was almost like there was a curse upon this film, and so it finally got traction a couple years ago with Bill Skarsgård starring as Eric, and directed by Rupert Sanders. And I want to say, I'm not saying I've changed my tone on this film, but I've read a lot of things these past few days from people who have seen it, and various fans like we are that are pretty hardcore about The Crow. And I've read that there's no mention of the name Draven in this film. It's just simply Eric and Shelley. There are no callbacks to the original, that the film is very careful to not step on the legacy of Brandon or anything like that, that it's very much its own thing. Now, where it takes a step back and being different, I've read, is that it's pretty much a Crow film with a completely different story. So it's almost like a sequel. So a lot of people were saying maybe they should have given it a subtitle to differentiate a little bit. Also, that said, a lot of people were actually liking this. Fans that are fans of the original are saying, hey, as a Crow film, it's really not bad. Now, critics don't like it, but critics didn't love the original, to be fair. And I don't get too caught up on what critics. So a lot of hardcore fans of some Crow groups I follow, they don't love it, but they're not hating it as much as we thought. But they also say don't rush out and see it. You can wait for it on streaming. They said there's a really well shot scene that takes place in an opera. They said it's very much more of a character story than an action film. But you can almost argue the original Crow is that, So where I've changed my tone on this is, I think when it comes to streaming, I will watch it. I'll give it a chance. And at first I really had no desire to see it, but I think I'll give it a chance when it comes out. I've heard Bill is great and he's worth watching it, which is fair because, Brandon was great and he made it worth watching. So if Bill makes
your last name is Skarsgård, you're going to do a good job.
Yes. So if Bill makes this worth watching, I'll watch it for Bill. I think to give him a chance, because I do like the work I've seen him do so far. Does it mean it's going to change my love for Brandon's film and Alex Proyas' film? Absolutely not. That movie sits in my heart so special and always will. But I've changed my tone on that to give that I will give this movie a chance when it comes to streaming. I imagine it's owned by Paramount since they own the rights to the original Crow. So I imagine this will show up on Paramount Plus within a couple of months. And I know it hasn't made a lot of money in the box office, but let's be fair. Alien Romulus was the last big summer movie. Once school starts, no movies make money. I mean, I don't expect Transformers 1 to make a ton of money when it hits in a few weeks, but I'm still going to be in the theaters to watch Transformers 1 that week, hopefully that week. I have some things that, it comes out the 20th, and I have some things. My mom's birthday is that weekend, so I don't know if I'm going to have time. I might have to see Transformers 1 the next week, but I will see it in theaters. And then after Transformers 1, there's probably not much coming out till the holiday season. But so still not excited about the Crow remake and not thrilled that it happened. But I'm glad to hear that the filmmakers understood they could not remake Brandon's film.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that. And I didn't feel it looked like a remake from the trailers, to be honest. It looked like it had similarities to Brandon Lee's film in tone only. I didn't get any vibe that it was a remake from the trailer. And I'm glad to hear that it's not. And I'm also glad to hear that there's no callbacks. They didn't try to use any lines from Brandon's film. They didn't try to use anything from the comic that they made as its own thing. But that said, I still would love to see a Crow adaptation frame by frame from the comic book. I think it'd be freaking incredible if done right, So
I bet if you did it as an animated film, and
I've always thought,
dude,
and black and white. It has to be a black and white animated film.
Yeah, noir. Yeah, now, that would look really good, and then you could do a lot with it with the animation. Because I feel like people don't ask questions and question things whenever it's an animated movie. They take it as it is.
Well, unless you're Batman, unless you're the Killing Joke.
Oh yeah.
Which I still don't understand the hatred for that. But anyway.
Hey man, Batman's got a dip too,
Hey man,
Hey, sometimes that Batarang gets wet.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Even if it's with a disabled girl. But anyway. It's there's definitely, some what do you call? Some exceptions to the rule. But I think The Crow, if you got some quality animation out there, and maybe what DC's doing, or even like an anime style almost, I think it could be really, really good. But I don't know if it'll ever happen, but maybe in 20 more years, 30 more years.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, so it's in theaters for anybody that's curious to go see it, and, and judge for yourself. But I'm going to wait till it comes streaming, and I'll give it a shot when it comes out, to be fair. Oh, man, my mind just went blank. I wanted to say there was another. Oh, speaking of animation, did you watch the trailer for the Lord of the Rings animated film? The War of Rohirrim? Or
Rohirrim.
Maybe I'm Rohirrim.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, I'm just a little gassy there. But man, I think it looks really great. It looks fun. Comes out Christmas. It's being produced by Peter Jackson. It just when you watch the trailer, Matt, you'll see it, man. It has a vibe, like it fits with the films that came before it, with Peter Jackson producing it. And it looks epic in scope. It looks well animated, well voice acted. I wasn't sure what to make of this when it was announced. It was supposed to have been out last year, but some delays with COVID and other things and the writer's strike, I think pushed it back some. So it's coming out this Christmas. And I'm kind of excited for it, man. It's like we just talked about how animation can make things expand on worlds, and with like you could with The Crow. We've seen it with all the DC animated stuff, and to a lesser extent Marvel. So, man, this is the right way to continue a vast universe like the Lord of the Rings,
No, and it's coming out on Christmas, which, reminds me of all the other films that came out. They always came out around Christmas week, or the day, or Christmas Day. I remember, the first one, I don't think that was the case, but I think Two Towers and Return of the King both came out Christmas Day, because I remember
or close to it.
Yeah, close to it. Me and my cousin, we'd always meet at his house. Our families would meet at his house for Christmas, and I would spend the night. And that next day, we would go see Lord of the Rings, and we would try and get there as quick as we could and get our seats. Fight for try to get seats together. And sometimes one time it was standing room only. I think I had to stand to watch Two Towers, I want to say. because it was nuts. I don't think they either oversold or some people were in that theater that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, more than
but
likely that.
Yeah, but it was the Woodlands, so I was like, why? People out, Woodlands back in the day. That's like, Houston Disneyland. I
Really,
guess.
people ghetto no matter where you go.
Yeah, there's true. But yeah, so it kind of reminds me of that same vein going out, and I guess in a more convenient time now that we can just pick our tickets online and reserve them. But I'll definitely be checking that out whenever it hits theaters and seeing it on the big screen.
Yeah, that's really all the bit of news I had this week. But I did, I want to say Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are no more once again. But you know what I say to that? You know what? Ben still tapped that ass.
He did.
You know what? He's a hero. He goes into the Hall of Heroes. He's freaking Batman, and he freaking banged Jennifer Lopez. So and I'm just. That's supposed to be some sense of humor in the show there.
Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Garner, probably some other chicks, I think he probably tried Gal Gadot, but I don't think he was successful.
Oh man, if he did that, he's not just a Hall of Heroes, he's Hall of fucking world champions,
Yeah, dude, freaking Gal.
And but anyway. I don't know. I just had to throw that in there. I only mostly because I was scrolling through my phone and I saw something about it. And I was like, okay.
That's funny. I saw that too. They're getting divorced.
Man, this is the part of the show where we talk about things we watch. Man, I've still been slacking off, but I have been playing college football on my PlayStation. But I have a funny story to tell, though. That I'll make a story here. Well, funny in my mind. Maybe people won't find it funny. So I was at the flea market today, and
cool
just
stuff
doing some toy hunting and stuff like that. So I was looking at this guy. He had these pictures of old like Nintendo Powers and Nintendo ads and stuff, video game ads, and he had them in these little frames. I was like, oh, okay, that's a QT idea. I'm thinking you cut out an ad. There's a cool Hulk Hogan one. I was like, oh, that would look cool around my wrestling stuff. I'm thinking, $10, right? Okay. So I asked him, hey man, how much are you doing on these old prints? And he goes, oh, they're not prints, man. They're actual ads. I saved. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry, man. I'm like, I wasn't insulting you, man. It's like, I know what they are. I'm just like, I love it whenever there's a vendor that thinks they're smarter than me because I'm not fucking stupid, right? I've been a collector for most of my life. And so how much do you think he had him priced?
Oh man, now that
I would $10, right? Maybe that's what you would expect to pay.
10, 15 tops. If he's a little proud.
He goes, oh, I asked for 40 for those. I'm like my mother. I show my feelings on my face, and I probably drop my jaw in front of him. What? Oh, but I'll do 35 for you. I'm like, yeah, no thanks, man. Dude,
yeah,
motherfucker. Do you realize magazines are worthless? Now there are a handful of magazines in the world, like some old Playboy, some old Life magazines, Time magazines. A first issue of Nintendo Power may be worth $25. I have the first issue of Wizard magazine. It's maybe $15, $20. But magazines are pretty much worthless. There's not a lot of value in them. And you're literally cutting the pages from them and framing them, which means there's no value. But it's a cool idea. I might have given you $10 for one, dude, just to hang up the Hulk Hogan picture. But
yeah, dude.
I was just like, wow. And I get it, man. It's their job to make money and to try to entice people to buy things. But man, don't be a complete fucking douche and think you're gonna sell someone a ripped out magazine ad for $40 and a cheap $5 frame you bought in Walmart. I just nothing really shocks me anymore, in this world we live in. But that one, I was just like, I think the stupidness of people still sometimes gets me, and that he thinks there's people that are that naive. And I'm sure there is a customer too that's that naive and that's paid that. And more power to them if you can get that money for them. But I just, but I also think it irritates me because I don't like people to rip motherfuckers off, Exactly. And as you know, we've done great business. Well. We've done great business with Daniel, of course, over at Misfit Toys, and Daniel would never do that to a customer.
No, there's times where he doesn't make much off of what he sells because he's trying to get you a deal. Maybe you bought a couple things and there's one more thing and you're like, how much is it? And you're like, next time. And he's like, you know what? What do you got?
I actually did spend
deal.
some money in his shop. He has a shop over there at that flea market on I-10, and his other guy Mark runs it. And I talked to Mark a little bit today, and I did actually buy a Seth Rollins figure from him. And of course, as usual, Mark cut me a deal. He goes, man, we normally the Seth is normally 20. He gave it to me for $10. You know, always get good deals at Misfit Toys. You know,
Yeah.
And so yeah, and that is our go-to shop in Houston. If you want vintage toys, you still haven't gone out and checked out his new one out Main Street, have you?
I need to.
Yeah.
I was going to go there when they had the chick that played the killer from Sleepaway Camp over there.
You know what we'll do, Matt? In October, when I'm on vacation, you and me we'll drop the kids off at school, and you and me will go out there together with no kids. We'll go check out a shop. We'll plan that now in October. We'll go out to the shop, grab some lunch somewhere, and make sure we're back for our kids get out of school. You know, and we'll do that so you can go check it out because it is a bit of a drive compared to the old shop. And you know what's funny is it's only about 3 or 4 more miles further. But it's just getting to it's different. Like the other one was right off 18th Street. This one is more like zigzag, you know, to get to.
Yeah, you could take 610 all the way, and then now you've got to take 610 to I-10, right? You got to take Studemont.
No, man, I wouldn't even do that, dude. When I went last time, I took TC Jester all the way up to Main Street. A lot easier. It was a lot easier than jumping on the freeways.
Yeah,
I think it was TC Jester, one of those. But yeah, and it was just a straight shot. Instead of dealing with freeways and all that mess. And because where he's at 45 there in Main Street, it's not exactly real convenient. It's almost easier to come in the back way.
Yeah.
But good stuff, man. But that's my story for the week, since I've mostly just played college football and watched YouTube videos. And I did start watching John Woo's remake of The Killer. I got about 20 minutes into it. I hope I will finish that by next week and have that to talk about on the show, because it's going to go with the movie that we're doing next week, which we won't reveal yet.
Yeah, man. I've got a story. And I guess it's kind of a download this. I wonder if anyone else has ever had this happen. So I have a Uber Eats deal where I get I have a membership and I get buy one, get one. So I always check to see if if the buy one, get one is a good deal, and I get it. And I ordered, and the guy delivered to the street behind me. Didn't realize it, but I looked around. I did walk up and down the street, didn't see my food, and I go up and down the street, don't see it, report it missing, and I get refunded, and then I have this wild-haired idea. I was like, you know what? I wonder if the app tells me what house they may have dropped it off at, and they do leave you a pin. So I took off running because I see it's on the next block over, on the opposite side, the people behind me, but across from them. And so I took off running, and it's still there in front of these people's doors. So I ran and got it, and I run back, and I'm like, I got my food and I got refunded. And I'm like, now I wonder if that was wrong, because I'm sure the driver gets, in trouble. But I'm like, how do you miss me by a whole block and a half?
No,
yeah. I was like, that's compensation for me running. So I wonder if anyone else has had that happen. If if that's what you would do, I'm sure that's what most of us would do. But it was fun. I was like, I was freaking barefoot. I was like, oh, I got to get it before. Someone sees it.
Barefooted?
Oh yeah, dude, I ran barefoot. I was lucky I didn't step on something that something rough.
A whole
but that was my little moment.
Barefooted?
Yeah, I tried to stay on the grass, so it wasn't so bad. But yeah, man,
yeah, you're like fuck up your feet or something. That's funny.
But yeah, that was my little thing. And then you sent me the man, what's that? Whatnot? Is it Whatnot?
Whatnot.
Yeah. I got myself a Black Series Darth Vader from there. Used that $10 off coupon. So that was cool. It was only like $13 for a Black Series Vader shipped, and that was pretty cool.
Yes, I got my credit today, so
good.
Finally. So.
And then I found a deal. I'll get into the movie I watched, but I found a they had one of the Space Marines NECA figures. Guy was trying to sell it for $20, and I guess you can counterbid, and if they accept it, it
It's like
charges
on
you right there. But this is
like on
different.
eBay, you can make an offer.
Yeah, you make an offer. If they accept, you still have to go through and actually physically
Not
buy it.
anymore.
But now it's just now it's
eBay's
automatic.
changed that now. If you
Oh
make an
wow.
offer, let's say I make an offer to you for $5 and you accept it, it charges you.
Okay.
Now, if they
So this
counter
one does
offer
it
you,
too.
that's different.
Yeah, the count. I guess I'm used to getting counter offers. I don't think anyone's ever accepted my offer right
Oh,
off
you
the
must
bat.
be one of those assholes that the item's $20 and you ask for $5 off. So they counter offer you. I never tried. My rule is never more than, if it's over $10, no more than 20% off. So if it's 20, maybe say 18. If it's under $10, I usually don't. Like if the item's $10, I might offer 9. Try not to go more than 10% off.
Yeah,
that's usually my rule on that kind of stuff.
it was only like it was like $5.87 shipping, and so I was like, would you do 15? And they accepted. So for $20, I got a NECA Space Marine. Forget which one. It was the. I have to figure it out, and I'll let you know. But
that's not
I
bad.
was
For
like,
a
that's
NECA
not
figure,
bad.
that's not bad.
For a NECA figure.
NECA figures, I don't even know if I own any because they're so ridiculously expensive.
Sergeant Apone. Yeah.
I don't think I own any NECA figures. They're ridiculously high price. They're all $28, $30 in stores. I always wanted one of the NECA Universal Monsters, like their Frankenstein they put out. But man, they're just so expensive.
Yeah, and he's from Aliens.
Right.
There we go. Yeah, that's a better picture.
Yeah.
So
yeah, NECA makes some good stuff.
I think he dies fast. But I thought that was cool. So yeah, if you're not on Whatnot, I think you should check it out. And when you join, you have the opportunity to send someone else a link and benefit from their purchase. So check it out. A lot of cool stuff. That being said, I did check out Alien Romulus this week. With the kids in school, now it's easier because all of them are in school. So me and the wife went. And it is definitely a movie that probably hits better. I mean, I know everything hits better on the big screen, but this one really hits better because there's so much tension that's built. Feed Alvarez did a good job with Evil Dead. I did enjoy what he did in the aspect that he paid a lot of respect to Sam Raimi, and whenever he directed his Evil Dead film, and took he followed it. But he knows, I can tell this guy knows what fans want and what they like, and he knows that the fan base can turn on you if you make it too different. So it's definitely a respect thing whenever you tote the line and just maybe change it up a little bit or just change the tone. But it's still in the same vein. And that's what he did here. So, just from like consoles powering up, seeing a little bit of light, seeing ripples in the water. It's the tension that's built on the ship, and the horror aspect of it was really good. And it's not an action-y film. It's not Aliens. So you're not going to get, a ton of the Space Marine action like you would in that film. Obviously, there's no Space Marines, right. as shown in the trailer. It's a little ragtag group of people just, basically checking out this ship. I won't go too far into it, but it's definitely a film you got to see on the big screen, just for the atmosphere. And I can tell you, I was very much impressed with the film. And some people were saying that there was a scene in there that they didn't like, that took it away from being like the number one alien film for them, and I don't. It's hard to beat Alien or Aliens, but it's definitely better than Prometheus, Covenant, Alien Resurrection for sure.
I haven't seen it yet, but here's my take on when these franchises become 30 years apart. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I will always love Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, but I've accepted there's things I also like in Kingdom of Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny. And they're just different eras. Filmmaking is different. Styles are different. It's hard to capture that moment. Same with Alien. Ridley Scott's Alien is a suspense horror masterpiece. Aliens is a suspenseful action masterpiece and one of my favorite action sci-fi films of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So now you flash forward to 2024. There's no way you're going to capture those moments ever again. So from what I've read is the director's name, I don't know how to say it. Fede Alvarez. I think you're right. He knew he could not ever recapture that. And I think people need to go into this and accept it for a different era of alien movies, a different era of filmmaking. And if you're saying there's one scene that kept you from not liking it and trying to compare to the others, well, I think you're being unfair to the film. Just enjoy it for what it is. And I'm anxious to see it. And it's okay to say that's your third favorite because you're always going to like Aliens and Alien more. But it's okay to say, like, this could have been the best if I had never seen Aliens. It's okay to have that nostalgia factor for those original films and not say this one's better. And maybe it truly isn't it better. It's one of those films that if Aliens never existed, from what I've read, Alien Romulus is the best alien film we've ever had. But I think it's with all these legacy sequels coming out, and I've heard that this is a sequel that it does. There's a very slight thing that ties it. I've heard there's a very slight thing that ties it in with the original film. Which is perfect to not over tie it in. So it still stands alone in its own thing. I've heard there's even, I don't know if this is true. I heard there's even a tie in with Covenant. I've heard that there, but I heard it's really like subtle.
Prometheus, Covenant.
And so that's cool. I
feel
think
like
we
it's
just
more
need
than
to,
subtle, but it's tie-in.
Yeah, we just need to enjoy these legacy sequels and be glad we're getting them. And I don't think they should always be compared to the originals because it's such a different time, And I think just we move on. We have a new era of filmmaking now, and some people could argue, well, we don't get enough original stuff anymore, but you still get Christopher Nolan doing movies like Inception and original stuff like that too. And it's okay to. It's okay to revisit franchises. The old adage is, why fix what's not broken? If alien film work, let's keep making them. Now, even only if we could get better Predator films. But hey, we did have Prey, and apparently there's another one in the works of that. So we'll see. I like those franchises, man. And I've read that Alvarez is, if given the opportunity, he would love to make an Alien versus Predator film, which I think would be a fucking remarkable idea.
Yeah, as long as it's not like a Alien Requiem, where they used a iPhone flashlight to light the whole film.
Because to be fair, Alien versus Predator isn't terrible. It's just not the standard we expected, but it's not terrible. Now Requiem, that's toilet paper on celluloid. I mean, it's just trash. But the first one's okay. It's got some good moments in it.
That's the one where they have Requiem's the one where they have the alien going through the maternity ward, and there's women with babies, and it's like pumping eggs into their throat. There's always that aspect of like a sexual horror, violent kind of thing with all of them.
Isn't there a scene where a girl runs through a hallway with no top on? Isn't Requiem the scene? There's a girl, she runs through a hallway with no top on, then the alien kills her.
Yeah,
if I remember right. Yeah, that movie was so bad. It's just like,
hey,
is it worse than the Predator?
An alien film
Probably is.
The Predator.
Worse than the Predator.
Yeah, worse than the Predator. At least you can see what's happening in the Predator.
And the Predator, to be fair, was fine until the last 30 minutes, where it was just like a mess. It was like, it made no sense. So
they did a good job of referencing Dutch and the original film, and then it was just they kind of farted at the end.
That sucks, man. Because Shane Black directed that. That really should have been so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wonder
it
if the
wasn't.
studio got
But
involved and they're like, "Oh,
it's good to hear that
doing
Alien
something.
Romulus is being well received. You know?
It's the truth."
And
As
then
the
I
kids.
think, and then next year we have Alien Romulus, and then the Alien Earth is the FX TV series. It's coming early 2025, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to be an Alien fan. Cool ass creature, man. The Xenomorphs have always been freaking awesome, and you know, and it's glad to
the
see the
one film they
franchise.
went away with it on was Prometheus, and I did rewatch it just to rewatch it, and I feel like they do it's decent.
Prometheus is good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thinking man science fiction, but it's good, man. It really is.
It tells you, it's more of an origin story,
right?
And kind of just expands the world, which is not bad. Fassbender's good in it. It's got all the aspects of an Alien film, flamethrowers, not chest poppers, but you got friggin' parasites floating in you. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I also checked that out. And it makes me want to just rewatch the whole franchise. Oh, I rewatched the original Aliens when we got back because Jackie needed a refresher. And
like Cameron's
so
Aliens?
No, Ripley's.
Or Scott's
Sorry,
Alien.
Yeah, Ridley Scott's Aliens. But yeah, there's so many similarities with Ridley Scott's 1979 Aliens and Romulus. I feel like if you're gonna see Romulus, refresh yourself a little on Alien, and then go in and you're like, man, this is like the same film just updated, and so many things, not like the whole thing obviously, but there's so much that is obviously inspired, and taken as you would have to, but it's great. It's cool to see. So check it out.
Good to hear, man. Yeah, sounds cool. Good deal, man. All right, well, let's get into today's back to school special film. This is a movie that, as you hinted at, no, not on the show. That was pre-show we were talking. This movie was rushed into production very quickly. The original Ninja Turtles hit the box office, had a huge opening weekend, made a lot of money. And New Line Cinema was like, you know what? We have the costumes ready, the actors ready. We have a script, basically. Let's go. And this film went into production very quickly, within weeks. So much, in fact, that the actress who played April O'Neil wasn't quite ready to do another one. So they're like, you know what? We're going to replace you. We really don't like you anyway.
Yeah, they didn't like her anyways.
Like, we really don't like you anyway, so we're okay if you don't come back. You're fired, basically. And that movie we're talking about today is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. And despite this movie being super rushed in production, it's amazing it actually came out okay for the most part.
Okay.
It's really simple. The turtles are glad they stopped Shredder, saved the city.
New York,
they're just kind of being lovable teenage goofballs, eating their pizza, hanging out with April. They don't have a place to live because the Foot knows where their home was from the first one. They're trying to find a place to live. Lo and behold, the Shredder's still out there. He somehow survived the trash can. And he has gotten a hold of the ooze that created the turtles, and he wants to create these monsters, which for some reason aren't Bebop and Rocksteady. There's some other creatures. And but of course, Shredder's got to use the ooze on himself and become Super Shredder, aka Kevin Nash, to try to fight the turtles. And Vanilla Ice sings a song, and then the turtles defeat Shredder, and they save the city again. That's basically what happens this hour and a half.
That is,
but yeah, I mean, it's that simple. But it plays up the comedy a little bit more than the first one. Even it's a little goofy, it's a little silly, but you can't help but watch this in its 90-minute runtime and smile a lot. There's a lot of nostalgic in this. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the first one, but it's not as bad as the terrible third one either. It's just fun. Part of the reason also people don't know this, that they the suits from what they were made of, the animatronic suits, weren't going to last very long. So they're like, we got to make another movie while these suits are still good, because they were fixing these suits and repairing them as they were making the second one, because they were falling apart. And that's why the third one they had to build new. Yes, they had to build
with a
new
bigger
suits in
budget.
the third
So
one,
yeah.
with a bit, yeah, and that which looked terrible in the third one. Even though the suits are remade and more money is weird. But
Mm-hmm.
we won't talk about that god awful third one where they were in
Back
Samurai
in
World or
time.
wherever. I don't even.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But but Ninja Turtles 2 got made because let's paint a picture. Let's go back to school in 1990-91. Ninja Turtles were man, like what would you even compare it now to that level of popularity?
I
It
wouldn't say
was
Marvel because Marvel is so huge. I guess it would be
yeah,
like
but it
Marvel in
was
the 2000s, maybe
yes.
in the early
This was
2000s.
Turtle Mania was on in 1990-91. You had the cartoon, you had comic books, you had action figures all over the
They were
store
showing up at
shelves,
car shows, comic book
car
shows,
shows,
yeah,
uh,
conventions.
um, theme parks. They had
Yeah,
people dressed as turtles. You can do no wrong with Turtles merchandising. And New Line Cinema knew that. They had the rights. Let's get these films rolling. Let's get them out
Burger
there.
King deals. Yeah, I
Yes.
remember that.
So, so you had to rush the sequel into production. You got it out. And by all means, it worked. It was successful for New Line Cinema. Even part 2 was not. I don't think it was as successful as the first one, but it's still successful.
It was not.
And
not given its budget.
You had one of the biggest rappers in the world at the time. Don't get me wrong, Vanilla Ice is no Eminem, but in 1990-91, this guy was top of the world rapper, and you have him appearing there singing "Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go." I think his cameo was originally supposed to be a little bit longer, but this film was cut and edited so quickly to put out there in rush production. Vanilla Ice got cut down to basically getting, what does he get, thrown into a car or whatever? Does he say "Go Ninja" or something like that?
No, he's performing, and they start playing the theme, and he's singing the Turtles fight, and then he sings the Go Ninja Go, and then comes up with the dance, and that's when they're fighting Razor, and I forget the other name of the other. Yeah, they wanted Bebop and Rocksteady, but the creators of the game were like, no, let's expand and let's make 2 new monsters. And so that's why Bebop and Rocksteady are not in there, because the creator of the video game wanted another animal, another
so you could sell more action figures.
Animals. Yeah. Yep. More money, more action figures. And that's why. But yeah, he's basically there doing the show and to provide a new Vanilla Ice song a la Ninja Turtles, which derailed his career because he was actually taken as a serious rapper. And then he did this, and they're like, oh, he's doing stuff for kids,
All of a sudden, he's not gangsta.
He ain't gangster enough. He went into driving race cars and BMX riding, stuff like that.
I guess it makes sense
I
guess it makes sense in 1991. If you had seen Dr. Dre hanging out with some kids and selling Ninja Turtles, his complete image would have been completely destroyed.
Yeah.
We would have never gotten Snoop Dogg and gin and juice and all that stuff.
It's true.
It's okay now in 2024 for Dr. Dre or Eminem to hang out with kids, but back then you had to be street tough. You had to be that thug life. That thug life. And and then it's funny, this film had a bigger budget essentially, right?
Yes.
By adding new creatures, but yet it made them take away Splinter a little bit. There's not as much Splinter in this film. In fact, they give them a human counterpart to help them, almost like a fifth turtle, an Asian dude, which I find Kano, which I find
Donatello's stuntman.
Almost, yeah, it was Donatello's stuntman, which I find almost he overacts throughout the film, but he does a good job. Because this movie has ninjas and Asian culture references in it, being that these are Ninja Turtles, and
yeah,
like, did they have to cast an Asian dude? Like, I was looking, like, why did Casey Jones not come back? It's like they had to have that human counterpart. There's no, he's too violent. Oh, that's right. This was the one that was more for kids. They couldn't have Casey Jones in this one.
Yeah, because parents had complained about the first one not being very kid accessible. And then when this one came out, you had some of the more hardcore Turtle fans who didn't like the film as much, thought it was too kiddie. But it still was a success, just didn't make as much because you had turtle fans that just didn't agree with it.
But imagine if those parents in 1991 had read the original Ninja Turtle comic books, which were ultra violent. Oh, maybe not ultra violent in terms of blood and guts, but those turtles did not take names. They kicked ass. They left the mess behind, and they went on about their business.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because the comic book, for people that don't know, when the cartoon came out and started getting very successful, the comic book started toning in a different direction. It was still black and white. It was still very much for young adults and teenagers, but it started being not as violent. I'm not saying it turned into a goofy comic book or anything, but they did start toning it down once they started like, oh, people are buying this book. Kids are buying this book. Okay, we can't quite have the turtles killing everyone. So they kind of changed things. And if I remember correctly, Kevin Eastman was all about. Peter Laird for years was not happy that they sold the cartoon rights and made the turtles kid friendly. He never wanted to be merchandise friendly, but yet he sure took that dime. What I'm saying. And him and Eastman for years did not talk. Him and Eastman didn't talk to each other for several years because of it, but they have since then made up. And Laird came along to accept the fate that the turtles were highly successful. And God damn it, these things gave you your freaking retirement, dude. So be happy that the turtles were so successful.
Even with the Michael Bay films.
Yes. Hey man, I like the first one. And
the first one's good.
The second
one has Megan Fox in the schoolgirl outfit.
Megan Fox in the schoolgirl outfit. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, come on, dude. They're good for that matter. Yeah. And we've had a couple of animated films. TMNT was fun. The problem with TMNT is there's no recognizable villains in it, which I thought was going to be the problem with Mutant Mayhem, but the Mutant Mayhem turned out to be a hell of a lot of fun, despite not having Shredder in it, Of course, they hinted that Shredder will be in the sequel.
Yes.
But that's right. I forgot Corey Feldman was voiced Donatello in the first one, but not in this one.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. But yeah, Kano, man.
Michael J. White cameos in the movie as a foot soldier.
I didn't realize that. Kevin Clash, Splinter. Elmo.
I do think it's funny that the idea of I kind of laugh when the scene where Kano was like, well, hey, I've got training. Let me infiltrate the foot and find out where they are. And the turtles are all like, oh, that's a bad idea. But yet the turtles are over there praising him for just helping them catch these robbers and kicking ass. It's like,
well, it's more so Raph.
You have,
Raph.
And you have no idea where you have no idea where the turtles are anyway. So you don't have any. I mean, the Foot Clan are anyway. So what other idea do you have? It's like, might as well. I do like the girl Paige Turco plays April in this. I do agree that she is better. The studio never liked the previous actress and the way she played. I guess she
did
not get along with a lot of people.
Extra, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't get along with a lot of people on set. She wasn't well liked. She complained about the night shoots and things like that in the first one. So they were like, hey, no problem. We'll replace you in the second one. Because she was signed for the second one, but when she found out she had to pretty much go into production on the second one almost after just finishing press for the first one, she was like, no, I really want to take a break. And they're like, okay, you're taking a break. You're fired. And they had already had, I guess Paige was already in mind because she had tested for the first film, if I remember correctly. And she was not hired. So they brought her in. And I honestly think she's a prettier April and she's a better actress,
Yeah.
She's still, and she looks more the part. She looks more like the April O'Neil from the comic books than Judith Hogue did.
Yeah, she does. And yeah, she went on to be in Turtles 3, of course, which, is but yeah, no, she's not asked to do much. She just she does a good job of being goofy when she's trying to hide the turtles. She's like, yeah, I nunchuck from time to time.
Yeah. No, that's funny. There's some good comedy in this. I like the WrestleMania line. Didn't we see these guys at WrestleMania? Knowing that Kevin
Oh
Nash
yeah.
is in the movie, and I think that was
Uh-huh.
pretty funny. And then I watched this last week. Then and did it end where they alluded that there was that Super Shredder comes out of the wood at the end of the movie, like he was going to show up for a third one, but he's not in Turtles in Time, is he? No, or the
He
whatever
he
the third one's called.
he gets up and then falls back down. But yeah, Turtles
That's
in
right. He falls
Time.
back down. That's right.
That Casey
They're
Jones.
fighting like an evil samurai clan.
Yeah, he comes back with a it looks like a light pole kind of thing, like an antique light pole, and it turns out that it has the ability to send people back into feudal Japan. And so yeah, there's like a clan of bad samurai, and the turtles have to protect the village. And Michelangelo gets the villagers to make him a deep dish pizza and stuff. So it's like there's still some comedy aspects, but the movie is not as good as the first or even the second one. Second one, it's like at least there's some intrigue there with the mutagen and the turtles' background, and creating new characters. Shredder coming back to take over the foot again, and then of course the turtles comedy is pretty good. And then
it's a fun. It's a
Casablanca
fun
reference. Here's looking at you, kid. But yeah, it definitely changed the tone of the Turtles, and set the tone for all the Burger King movies and the animated series that we got. I know I always had fun playing the arcade game on NES with my cousin, and I felt like it was so hard to beat, but we were really good at it as kids. And then trying to play the emulator nowadays, it's it's tough.
Have you seen? I highly recommend this, Matt, because you have an Xbox. Pick up the Cowabunga collection, dude. It's fantastic.
Okay.
I have the Cowabunga collection. It has all those games on it. It has the arcade version, the Nintendo versions, all those. It's worth the $20 or whatever it is for the game. Man, I highly recommend the Cowabunga collection. I mean, it has the Game Boy Classic games. It has all of them, dude. It's a freaking awesome disc, digital version, wherever you fucking buy, of the Cowabunga collection, all the initial games. We bust it out and play it pretty often on our PS4. But I know it's on all systems. But I highly recommend the Cowabunga collection. Ninja Turtles, man, are such a fun franchise. It's currently the 45th anniversary, I believe. If you go into Target right now, there's all kinds of new 40th anniversary, 45th anniversary Ninja Turtle toys hitting the shelves. The new figures based on the comic books. I mean, it's a good time to be a Turtle fan. Everything old is new again. This franchise, the new show is on Nickelodeon, Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or on Paramount Plus. We have a sequel in the works, Mutant Mayhem. I imagine it's only a matter of time before we get our live action Turtles film. This is a franchise that's not going where. I mean, with the advent of CGI, I think my biggest problem with the Michael Bay produced Turtle films, and I say produced because I want people thinking he directed them, because I'm not going to blame him that, is the CGI in them. When you have amazing computer generated characters on screen like Caesar or Noah in the new Planet of the Apes film, you should be able to do that with the Turtles, and we still did not get that with those Michael Bay produced films. They're not terrible, but they're creepy, they're slimy, they're kind of they're not super kid friendly. So one day I hope we can get a Turtles film where the CGI is remarkable and amazing on the big screen, because it's such a great franchise, such a simple, all great ideas come from simple concepts. I mean, they were sitting in their basement. What if Ninja Turtles had weapons and fought crime? It's great. And it's been emulated with Battletoads and other things that have tried to copy Turtles, but there's only one original, and that is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and such a fun, nostalgic movie and to do for our back to school episode, and just a great, fun film and an amazing franchise. I'm a huge Turtle fan. In fact, I'm a big WWE fan. I've been talking a lot of wrestling on the show lately with my YouTube channel, but right now in stores they have Kofi Kingston dressed as Michelangelo, his partner Xavier Woods dressed as Donatello, and they have a Roman Reigns Shredder. And they're coming out in Wave 2 will be Rey Mysterio as not Leonardo, as Raphael, Seth Rollins as Leonardo, and Cody Rhodes as Casey Jones. That's going to be in the next round. I picked up the Kofi Kingston the other day as Michelangelo. Wyatt got him the Roman Reigns as Shredder. They're really cool Turtles wrestling figures are out right now. They're exclusive to Target stores. I still want my own Roman Reigns Shredder, but I bought the one for Wyatt the other day and gave him that one. But really cool figures. So Turtles is just such a franchise that crosses over everywhere. It's hard to find someone who can't find somewhere in their life or their childhood that Ninja Turtles was not important to them. And a fun movie to do. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, was a fun choice for our back to school episode. And we're going to go the complete opposite direction next week with a movie that is not for kids.
No, definitely not.
We're going to discuss a movie that is directed by my all-time favorite director. And this was his first Hollywood film he did. And it stars, and I was trying to think, man, we, not counting our Patreon Street Fighter episode, we've never done a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, have we?
I don't think so. I know one time I wanted to do Time Cop, but
it's funny because I almost put Time Cop in this slot, but man, Time Cop's not real good. That's the problem with it, and not that this film is great either.
Yeah.
But this film is better than Time Cop, and
definitely, yeah.
We're going to talk about this movie next week, and the movie we're going to talk about next week is John Woo's directed Hard Target.
In the city of New Orleans, in a darker side of Dixie, away from the music and the lights, there's a new game in town.
You'll be provided with a guide, trackers, and the weapons of your choice.
I need to file a missing person report.
The competitors are deadly.
We pride ourselves in hunting only combat veterans, men who have the necessary skills to make our hunts more interesting.
And they always win.
You want to find your father? Get somebody who knows the city to show you around.
Now, the opposition is about to get one last chance.
What kind of a name is Chance?
My mama took one.
Our friend Mr. Boudreaux, Silver Star, Marine Force Recon. He's obviously not someone we should underestimate. He is an annoying little insect. And I want him stepped on hard.
We need to get out of here now.
Ladies first.
What?
These men will chase after you. You mad at you for business or pleasure?
Both. Look at it this way. You're gonna get to meet Elvis. Give it a rest, pal.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is the hard target.
You miss me?
From internationally acclaimed action director John Woo.
How's it feel to be hunted?
You tell me.
Hard Target.
This movie suffers from studio interference, as many John Woo films did. And we felt it was a good time to talk about this film with John Woo's remake of The Killer on the Peacock Network, and go back and discuss this film. It's a real simple concept where a guy comes into a small town, gets with the wrong people, and he's basically hunted, and he has to defeat them. But it's got some cool moments in it. It's got some cool Van Damme moments. It has some good John Woo moments. And we'll talk about more what Woo's original vision of this film was next week. Matt, you have to do some research on this about the Hard Target John Woo work print that exists out there, which was a much longer version of the film. But that's next week on the podcast, and John Woo's Hard Target on next week's episode. But we hope you enjoyed this back to school episode. We had a lot of fun doing this one, and
definitely.
Next week we haven't done a top 5 in about a minute, and I think we're going to do our top 5 John Woo films next week. A little teaser on the show. But until then, the RubberRadioPodcast.com for all your Rubber Radio needs. As always, we thank you for listening. This has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
Remember, as always, just go there and do it.